I do not hate anyone. I do not hate anyone. I look for grace wherever I can find it.
Imagine waking up tomorrow and finding out that every single penny you spend, from your morning coffee to your monthly rent, is being tracked, monitored, and potentially blocked by a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. It sounds like a dystopian movie, but Senator John Kennedy just walked into the Senate with the receipts to prove it's becoming a reality. Washington wants you to believe they're just modernizing the system, but Kennedy isn't buying the jargon. He just looked them in the eye and exposed the ultimate digital trap, a scheme designed to end financial privacy as we know it. Today, the game of shadows is officially over. You are about to witness the most brutal financial takedown in Senate history. Kennedy doesn't just ask questions, he delivers a final warning to the elites who think they own your future. But before we show you the moment that left the room in total silence, hit that subscribe button if you believe Kennedy is the only hero left fighting for your freedom. The trap has been set, but Kennedy is about to spring it. Let's get into it.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Senator.
In America, unlike other countries, where they let you die in a ditch, in America, if you're too poor to be sick, we'll pay for your doctor. Isn't that right?
It is.
And one of the programs we do that through is Medicaid.
Correct.
Okay. And this money for Medicaid, it didn't just fall from heaven. We thank heaven for it, but it came out of people's pockets, didn't it?
Every dime of it.
And some of that money is stolen, isn't it?
Yes.
And the states, not all of them, but many of them, allow it to be stolen, don't they?
Yes.
Let's take Medicaid in California, for example. I don't mean to just pick on California, but because this happens in other states. We saw it happen in Minnesota, for example. But in California, for every dollar that the California state government puts up for Medicaid, for the Obamacare portion of Medicaid, the federal taxpayer puts up $9, don't they? And so, is that right?
That's correct, Senator.
And so, as a result, California has allowed thousands and thousands of these social assistance and so-called health care providers pop up in California, haven't they?
Yes.
And some of those providers steal the money, don't they?
Yes, we know that to be true. Yes.
And the money never gets to the people they supposedly are trying to help. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And the other way that California and others abuse the fact that they're putting up $1 and the American taxpayers putting up $9. Did I mention it was $9?
I think some say it's even more, but yeah. 9 work.
They expand the services, don't they?
Yes.
Because some states, like California, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush. It's not everybody in California state government, but it's a lot of them. They see this as free money, don't they?
They're not paying for it, yes.
Isn't it a fact that, for example, Medicaid in California will pay a provider to provide tribal prayers? I looked all this up.
I mean, I'll accept that. I didn't know that, but yes.
That California will actually pay a health care provider, I didn't know this was a medical expertise, to pay for exorcisms. Is that right?
I'll accept that, Senator, but that's...
They pay, the California Medicaid program will pay for herbal medicines, meal deliveries. They'll pay for housing. I don't know what housing has to do with health care. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that the Medicaid program using federal money, taxpayer money, will pay for an in-home chef?
Yes.
Okay.
Even if it's a family member, yes.
Yeah, they'll even pay for gymnasium fees through Medicaid in California. They'll pay for bicycles, scooters, Gym memberships. Did you know that?
Yes, several states do, but California does for sure.
They'll even repay your student loans. Were you aware of that?
I was not aware of the student loans repayment.
Yeah, they'll repay somebody's student loans to encourage them to become a health care provider. I mean, California, they're just setting all kind of records. These folks are they're wild people. California's got 12% of the population. In the last 10 years, they're responsible for half of these new so-called health providers to provide exorcisms and other things. Now, what the hell are we doing about it? Why has this gone on for so long?
Senator, listen, it's a great question. And what you just described are programs that are allowed under the program. You have a whole other issue in California where a lot of these folks are just stealing the money, not even running it through for exorcism.
They're thieves, aren't they?
They're thieves, correct.
And California just watches it happen, don't they? Not everybody in California. The government does, doesn't it?
Well, that's the challenge in a lot of states, is that we don't have a state government, which you all have entrusted to run these programs and take care of the money that you all give them. There's state structures that absolutely do not do any compliance, and they don't do their job.
Because they don't have no incentive to. They're getting free money. Isn't that right?
Yes, I think so, yes.
We got to change this, General.
We're trying.
I call this a slush fund. You want to talk about slush fund? This is a tier 1 slush fund that's been going on for years and years and years. Billions, hundreds of billions of dollars is stolen.
Yes, Senator. And that's why, look, this department stood up a whole new fraud division, and AUSAs around the country prosecute fraud every day. So it's not as if we didn't have the work out there, but it's so systematically taking money from the American taxpayer that we very much believe that it needs its own stand-up structure. And I think it's true for the reasons that you just said.
If you need an exorcism, you can go to California, can't you?
Thank you, Senator.
Don't.
That was the chairman, not me.
Don't you think your hyperbolic statements undermine your credibility?
What hyperbolic statement did I make?
On February the 11th, 2026, you posted on Bluesky, quote, my words, or your words, not mine. The Democrats' video telling service members to ignore illegal orders didn't go far enough. They should have also urged them to refuse unethical orders, whether illegal or not. There are many things deemed legal that are still obviously unethical, and everyone should hold themselves to this higher law, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe you did. Do you disagree with it? You think people should do unethical things in their capacity?
On December the 31st of 2025, you posted in front of God.
But wait. Do you disagree with what I said?
Let me finish my question.
I'm sorry.
Answer, sir. Sure. In front of God and country, you said, quote, they, referring to Republicans, think they can troll their way into us accepting ethnic cleansing, end quote. Your words, not mine. Did I read that correctly?
That was in regard to a Department of Homeland Security post about advocating 100 million deportations. That is what DHS has tweeted from their own account. 100 million deportations would be ethnic cleansing. You would be removing 1/3 of the country. So yes, there are people within the Department of Homeland Security.
And you don't think this is hyperbolic? Give me 30 more seconds.
I think advocating 100 million deportations is
I'm having fun here,
ethnic
Mr. Chairman.
cleansing.
On February 5th, you quoted you said the following on Bluesky.
Your time's up.
These are all good, but there's no enforcement mechanism. I'm sorry. Let me try a better one. On March 2nd, you said, quote, if you rule against Trump's population purge agenda, no hyperbole there, the nativists will name you, threaten you, and come after you. These judges are much braver than the ICE agents who hide behind masks while violating the Constitution.
They are much braver. They put their names on their rulings and they stand behind their constitutional rulings. When I talk about population purge, I'm talking about the fact that they're trying to deport U.S.-born citizens, people born here. They are trying to deport them as well. So it's not a mass deportation agenda. It is also an agenda intended to reduce the population of the United States, including U.S.-born people.
Thank you.
These are not hyperbolic statements. I appreciate you reading my account. I appreciate
Here's
your
the good
research.
news.
What planet did you just, wait a minute, Mr. Chairman, what planet did you just parachute in from?
No. Hey, guys.
You trigger my gag reflex, Mr. Beer.
So we got a process here, and it's good to know you don't have an agenda. Senator King, just one point of clarification. Is it your position that a nonviolent illegal immigrant shouldn't be deported?
My position is that we should give people who are peaceful people a path to citizenship. You endorsed that principle for many years, Senator.
So no matter how many people come?
No, it should be based on whether people have a demonstrable basis to remain in the United States, which is whether they contribute to this country or whether they're a threat to it.
I guess
we should have all law enforcement.
I guess what you don't understand,
threats.
And I don't want to. I'm familiar with the Gang of Eight bill, shut down illegal immigration. We did away with the magnets. We're going to give people a chance who've been here for a long time.
Your bill had the exact opposite approach of what this Department of Homeland Security is carrying out.
Listen. For 4 years, Biden obliterated the border. 11 million people came in. And the bill I was working on would have prevented that. He took everything we were trying to do to stop illegal immigration, be fair to the ones here, and blew a hole in it, and now we got 11 million more, and you want to give them amnesty. They'll never stop. Senator Grassley.
Tell me that, I think I heard you say that some people, some folks who've come to our country and are trying to get status to stay, have applied to the Department of Health of DHS, and they've paid money, and DHS is doing nothing?
Oh, that's right. Yep, they're sitting on their applications, not processing them.
That's a pretty bold statement. How many people? I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know. How many people we're talking about?
About half of the immigrant flow right now.
So
90 countries are affected by the State Department ban.
How many people is that?
Well, it's at least 300,000 abroad and probably twice that when you consider the people already in the U.S.
So you're saying that 300,000 folks have gone to DHS to seek some kind of permanent status or semi-permanent status to stay. At least 300,000, and they paid money to DHS, and DHS has done nothing. Is that what?
That's right. Yeah, they're sitting on their applications.
Well, who at DHS is
putting them in the trash?
Who at DHS is doing this?
Oh, it's Joseph Edlow. He's in charge of it. He came up with this policy to just.
Who is he?
He's the head of USCIS. Joseph Edlow is the head of USCIS. He came up with this policy where he is just.
Slow down a minute, man. You've had too much coffee. He's at DHS?
I'm just from New Jersey. So.
I understand. Great state, too. Who does he report to?
Secretary Noem, of course.
Okay. Does Secretary Noem know whether this...
I don't know what Secretary Noem knows, but she's aware of the general tenor of this administration.
What's his name?
Joseph Edlow.
Mr. Edlow. Who's his boss?
Secretary Noem.
Oh. Okay. And you can document all this?
Oh, absolutely. They put out a memorandum saying we're not processing these people. And Secretary Rubio is involved as well when it comes to the State Department.
Would you send me that memo, please?
I will absolutely send that to you.
I went way over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, John.
I appreciate that.
Senator Kennedy, I'm informed that USCIS is slowing adjudication because of the huge backlog and the lack of vetting of these migrants during the Biden administration is the reason that we've been given.
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard Mr. Beer, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong. Those are pretty bold allegations.
Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Secretary, how many employees were there at HHS when you took over?
82,000.
How many do you have today?
62,000.
Okay.
It's about the level it was in 2019, right before COVID.
Is this the first time that an institution in America has ever downsized?
I don't think so. I think private and public institutions have
Microsoft just announced that they were going to reduce their workforce by 6,000 people. You think that'll be the end of Microsoft?
Senator, we wouldn't have reduced anybody.
You think that'll be the end of Microsoft?
I don't think so, Senator.
Meta, I still call them Facebook, just announced they're going to reduce their workforce by 3,000 people. You think that'll be the end of Meta?
I imagine it will not.
Yeah. Think maybe the people at Meta know what they're doing?
I think that they do. They make a lot of money, Senator.
Do you hate NIH?
I love NIH. I grew up with NIH. I visited when I was a boy. I loved science, and those were my favorite afternoons, visiting the labs at NIH.
Do you hate medical research?
No, I think we need to lead the world in medical research in this country.
In fact, isn't it true, Mr. Secretary, that you would like to see more money spent on medical research?
Obviously, I'm the secretary of this department. No secretary wants to see his budget cut.
Well, one way of doing that, it seems to me, would be to stop some of the stealing. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Let's suppose you give NIH gives a university $100 million to research, for medical research, to research a cure. And that university takes $30 million of it, doesn't spend it on the research. They use it to subsidize the rest of their university. Does that show a commitment to medical research?
No, and I mentioned before the example of Stanford, which was taking 78% in indirect costs, and we don't know what they were spending.
That's theft, isn't it?
It's not a good
in Louisiana,
way to spend
we call
federal
that stealing.
Taxpayer dollars.
We call that stealing. Is there any doubt in your mind that a lot of universities are taking this NIH money, which is supposed to be spent on medical research, and using it to fund other parts of their university? Is there any doubt in your mind, Bobby?
Oh, and Senator, the other people who are writing grants, like the Gates Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, they paid 10% to 15% in indirect costs. We were paying 50, 60, 70%.
So, in fact, what you're doing is adding money to medical research.
We will be able to fund many, many, many more studies by eliminating that $9 billion, at least part of that $9 billion cost.
Okay. I want to ask you about LAHEAP. Are you familiar with this GAO report they did on LAHEAP?
I am not, Senator.
They found, they audited 7 states. They found 11,000 dead people getting LAHEAP grants. You familiar with that?
No, but that is pretty typical of many of the other programs that we're working with.
They found prisoners getting grants, didn't they? Were they using the grants to heat their jail cell? They found 1,000 federal employees getting the grants with federal salaries that greatly exceeded the income limits. They found some of those folks living in $1 million homes. I got 18 seconds. Why do we allow highly processed foods in America?
That's a complicated question, but it's driven by profits, but to a food industry that is making money by poisoning American kids, and they don't do it abroad. They make the same products for Canada and for Europe that do not contain many of those chemicals.
You understand, Mr. Secretary, there's nothing you can do that's going to make many of my Democratic colleagues happy. You get that, don't you?
I do understand. I'm coming to understand that, Senator.
Yes. Thank you.
Senator Murray, welcome. Nice to see you, and I'll turn it over to you for questions.
Thank you very much, Chair Capito, Senator Baldwin. I look forward to working with you both.
Congratulations to all of you. Judge Dubose, am I saying your name right?
That's correct, Senator.
Okay. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to be direct. I think most of my questions are designed to be yes or no. Are you still a Marxist?
Thank you for the question, Senator.
You don't have to thank me. We'll say you are welcome.
I am not, nor have ever been a Marxist.
Well, you gave an interview in 2000 to the feminist press. In fact, you didn't turn it over to us. We had to ask for it. We found it on our own. And you did then turn it over to us. And this is what you were describing your time working in a coffee shop. You said, quote, the kids would come into the cafe all the time. We'd talk about what they're doing. We'd talk about their classes. And I was in my Marxist phase. So you used to be a Marxist, but you're not now?
No, Senator, if I may, the context of the first of that interview, I had no idea that that interview was something that was going to be published. I did an interview with the
Did you mean what you said, whether it was published or not, or whether we'd find it? Trying to understand what you believe. You said I was in my Marxist phase.
Thank you, Senator.
Still in your Marxist phase, or was that in the past?
No, Senator, if I may explain.
Sure.
I was a political science major. When I graduated from college, I immersed myself in a ton of political theory. I read Hobbes, I read Locke, I read Rousseau, I read Marx. I went through a phase where I was into Eastern religion, where I read the Tao Te Ching, the Analects of Confucius. So I suspect, and I don't know that quote with the article, I don't know if she was referring to what I was studying at the time, but as a political science major and as a theorist and someone who was considering teaching a course in political theory, I immersed myself in those things.
But she didn't refer to anything. She meaning, I assume you're referring to the reporter who interviewed. These are your words, and you didn't say I'm in my Hobbes phase. You didn't say second I'm in my Locke phase. You didn't say I'm in my Rousseau phase. You said I was in my Marxist phase, and my question is real simple. Are you still a Marxist?
Senator, I've never been a Marxist, and I'm not a Marxist today.
Okay. All right. Have you ever served as lead counsel in a federal bench trial?
No, Senator. With my experience as both a state prosecutor, as an in-house counsel at Schneider Electric, doing very complex compliance and regulatory work, and my work as a district court sitting judge, handling general jurisdiction.
Yes, ma'am. I've read your resume. I just want to get through these questions. Have you ever served as lead counsel in a federal jury trial?
No, Senator, I have not.
Okay. Have you ever attended a federal jury trial?
No,
watched
Senator.
It live?
No. No, Senator.
Have you ever watched a federal jury trial on TV?
I don't believe that federal trials are televised, so no, I have not, Senator.
Have you ever watched any trial on television?
Senator, I handle and preside over trials every single day as a state district court judge. We follow the rules of evidence, criminal procedure, civil procedure. So I feel that with my experience, that I am well suited and capable to make the transition from our state district court to our U.S. district court.
Okay. When you were practicing law, did you ever draft a motion or a brief applying the federal rules of evidence?
No, Senator. As a state prosecutor...
I'm sorry, you said what?
I said no, Senator.
No, okay. When you were practicing law, did you ever draft a motion or a brief applying the federal rules of civil procedure?
Well, I believe that there were times at Schneider Electric giving advice to business units regarding the federal acquisition regulations, that I would draft briefs to give them counsel as to how to be compliant with the federal rules. So in that respect, the answer would be yes.
Okay. What's an interpleader action?
Interpleader action is a third party who's going to intervene in a civil suit. They're not a primary party.
Okay. What's voir dire?
Voir dire is the process with which jurors are questioned by the state and by defense and prosecutors to serve on a panel.
Have you ever conducted a voir dire in federal court?
Not in federal court.
Okay. I'm going to yield back 6 seconds, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Whitehouse.
Just to clarify the record, Judge Dubose, do you recall when that interview was done, the interview that Senator Kennedy referred to?
No, Senator, I don't. And if I recall, and I was brought to my attention yesterday, that was never an interview that I did I thought was going to be published. I never reviewed it. I didn't. It was an undergrad student who was interested in teaching, who spent 20 minutes.
What were you doing at the time?
I was teaching.
So this was before you even went to law school. This was
Yeah, I was really early.
many years ago.
It was, Senator.
Perhaps during the time when my colleague, Senator Kennedy, was a Democrat. Showing that people can change their views, even if it were true that you were then in a Marxist phase.
Senator Graham.
Mr. Chairman, my name was invoked.
I noticed.
As a proud Democrat, we were like that part
My
of
name
your
was
history.
invoked, Mr. Chairman. Now, I just want to let the record reflect, and I love Senator Whitehouse.
Uh-oh.
But I'll tell you one thing, I've never been a Marxist. I've never been a Marxist. And I've never admitted I was a Marxist and then not turned the document over to this committee. We had to find it. And we did. And now the testimony under oath today is, I didn't say that. The reporter said that. No, the witness said that. And then the testimony is, well, I didn't mean it to become public. That's not the issue. So, if we won't get personal here, we can.
Senator Graham.
Thank you. Let's agree on the following. A Louisiana Democrat's probably not a Marxist. But the bottom line is, why wasn't it available to the committee, Mr. Bell?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I had no idea that the article existed. When I did the interview with that undergrad student, it was for a paper for a class.
It's something you didn't know about.
I was in an interview with a young lady who was interested in teaching as an undergrad, and I was just sharing my transition, how I went to be into teaching.
I understand. Your testimony is, this is not something I've seen before. Had you seen it before?
No, Senator.
Okay, so if you hadn't seen it, you didn't know about it, so that's why you didn't turn it over.
That's correct.
Okay, just make sure that. Mr. Ali, is that right?
Yes, Senator.
You were head of the MacArthur or Associated MacArthur Justice Center, is that correct?
Now let me say a word about Minneapolis. There's a lot we know. There's a lot we don't know. I want to talk about 3 things we do know. Number 1, the loss of life in Minneapolis was a tragedy. And if you can't admit that, you have a padlock on your heart. It was a tragedy. We don't have all the facts. I know everyone's seen the videos, but the people involved we haven't been interviewed. There are a lot of facts we have, but a lot of facts we don't have. And I am not going to rush to judge. I'm not going to rush to judge. President Trump has promised a full and thorough and transparent investigation. and I thank him for that. But regardless of what we find out, we all have to concede, we all should concede that the loss of life in Minneapolis was a tragedy, and I'm sorry it happened. Number two, this is the second thing that I know. You don't have to be Einstein's cousin. You don't have to be a senior at Caltech to know that illegal immigration is illegal. Duh. It's illegal. And those of us who believe that no one is above the law, we all say we believe that. I believe it. No one, those of us who say that no one is above the law have to concede that people in our country illegally are not above the law either. The law applies to them as well. Our immigration statutes are not second-tier laws. They matter just as much as the other statutes that have been passed by the elected members of Congress. And just like the other laws, the immigration laws have consequences and should have consequences if you violate them. Now, so I guess what I'm saying, Mr. President, is I support enforcement of our immigration laws. Now, how you enforce those laws, matters. Those laws, like all laws, have to be enforced in accordance with due process. Those immigration statutes, like all laws, have to be enforced in accordance with equal protection. Those laws have to be enforced in accordance with a well-known Supreme Court case, 1968, called Terry v. Ohio, which sets forth the standards. Reasonable suspicion is the standard chosen by the Supreme Court, by which someone can be stopped and questioned when a law enforcement official doesn't have probable cause. Terry v. Ohio has to be followed. So number one, illegal immigration is illegal. We should enforce our immigration laws, but how we enforce them matters. Third and final point. You have the right to protest in America. Let me say that again. You have the right to protest in America. You do not have the right to protest violently. And in fact, violence, as you protest, undermines the morality of the thing that you're protesting over. Let me say that again. Violence, if you choose violence when you protest, that undermines the morality of the movement that you say your movement is based upon. You know who else understood that? Dr. King. King understood it. Gandhi understood it. Mandela understood it. Violently protesting, not protesting, but violently protesting undermines the morality that you say your cause is built upon. It's also dangerous. It's dangerous it's dangerous and it's stupid. It's 12-piece bucket of stupid. Because when you protest violently, when you interfere with a cop or an ICE officer, It's not going to end well. It's not. Under the best of circumstances, these officers are trying to enforce federal law. And the people with respect to whom they're trying to enforce federal law are, in most cases, I'm not going to say all cases, but in most cases are criminals. Not criminals because they're here illegally, though that too is a violation of our law, but criminals because they have violated other laws, in many cases felonies. And those ICE officials, those cops are scared. They're scared. They're dealing with someone who could be armed, someone who could be dangerous. So you've got a powder keg. And when protesters choose to protest violently and harass those ICE officials and blow whistles in their ears and block their way and spit in their faces and curse them and curse their children, they're giving off sparks in a powder keg. And it's not going to end well in many cases. And the truth of the matter is, it's been my experience in life, most, I'm not going to say all, most cops will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. So, as we go forward in America and try to enforce our laws in conformity with the United States Constitution, as we go forward together in America, and while we're respecting people's constitutional rights, we respect our law enforcement officials who are doing a very difficult job. As we go forward in America today, as the President has promised, to have a full and fair and transparent investigation of the tragic loss of life in Minneapolis, I hope we can keep those three things that I think all of us can agree upon in mind. I'm sorry we're at this point, but I believe that our future can be better than our present, and certainly than our past. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield the floor to my esteemed colleague. Mr. President, in a few minutes, we're going to be voting on Senate Resolution 526. And I wanted to spend a few moments explaining what my resolution would do. First, it's a resolution. It's not a bill. This resolution will only affect the United States Senate. It will not affect the United States House of Representatives. Very simply, this is what my resolution would do. When we shut down government, and by that I mean, of course, when Congress, House and Senate, refuses to provide funding for an agency in government, in some cases all of government, and those agencies or all of government, as the case may be, have to shut down. That means that federal employees, for the most part, aren't being paid. My resolution would require, or stipulate rather, that senators wouldn't be paid either. It's called shared sacrifice. Now, I want to be clear so my colleagues understand exactly what this resolution would do. Because I've worked hard to get the votes to pass this, and I've had to make a few accommodations. First, a senator would not lose his or her salary. The money would be escrowed. The senator's salary just would not be available to that senator while we're in a shutdown. But once the shutdown is over, you'll get your money. Number two, again, to repeat, this bill will not apply to the House of Representatives. It will only apply to the United States Senate. The House can take care of its own business. Because of the 27th Amendment, and in order for my resolution to be constitutional, the resolution will not take effect until the day after the midterm elections. The 27th Amendment provides pretty clearly that our compensation as members of the Senate and the House, for that matter, though this bill doesn't apply, this resolution doesn't apply to the House, can't be changed until after an election. And the soonest election, of course, is midterms. If I were king for a day, I'm not, I don't aspire to be, but if I were, I'd make this resolution effective immediately, because I'm very concerned. I hope I'm wrong. If I am wrong, I'll apologize. I'm very concerned that my Senate colleagues on the Democratic side are going to try to shut down government yet again right before the elections, to try to create chaos to affect the midterm elections. If I'm wrong in that prediction, I will come here and apologize to every senator by name. But so if I could, I would make this resolution apply immediately. Frankly, if I were also king for a day and I wanted to stop government shutdowns, I'd do more than this. I would do two things. I would say that if government shuts down, a senator loses his pay. It's not escrowed, and you get it back later. You just don't get your pay. I would also say that you can't leave Washington. You can't go home. If you make people forfeit their pay and tell them they can't leave Washington, we won't have any more shutdowns. And everybody in this body knows that. But I can't pass that. I would if I could, but I can't. So to repeat one more time, all my resolution would do would say that if we choose to shut down government, you're not going to be paid. You'll get your money later, but while we're in a shutdown, you're not going to be paid. It's about shared sacrifice, Mr. President. I mean, what we have done this year in terms of keeping government open. Last October, I looked it up before I came to the floor. Last October, we shut down government 43 days. It's the longest shutdown in history. And we had FBI agents and National Park Rangers and CDC scientists. Our staff here in Congress, nobody was getting paid. And then 3 months later, after we finally got out of that 43-day shutdown, we shut down the Department of Homeland Security. It was shut down for 76 days. And this is all in 1 year. We ought to hide our heads in a bag. It's got to stop. Shutting down government should not be our default solution to our refusal to work out our issues and our differences. So that's what my Senate resolution will do. Vote how you want to. I'm not saying this is going to stop all shutdowns. As I say, if I were king for a day, I know what to pass that will stop them, but maybe this will help. So vote for it if you want to. Don't vote for it if you don't want to. Follow your heart. Be sure and take your brain with you, because this is about shared sacrifice. This is about putting our money where our mouth is. I yield the floor, Mr. President. Thank you for your time and attention. My work here is done.
As the silence takes over the chamber, the weight of Kennedy's words begins to sink in. We have watched him tear down the excuses and expose the cold, hard truth that they tried so desperately to hide behind complex economic terms. This wasn't just about a digital currency. It was about the very soul of American freedom. When you treat the hard-earned money of the people like a tool for control, you aren't just a bureaucrat anymore. You're a threat to the foundation of this country. And today, Kennedy was the shield that stood in their way. When Kennedy looked them in the eye and said, "It's finally over," he was sending a message to every globalist in DC. You cannot manage the American people into submission. The stutters, the panicked whispers, and the desperate glances we saw today are proof that they know they've been caught red-handed. DC is hoping you'll look away and go back to your daily life. But after what we've witnessed today, that is no longer an option. They are counting on your silence to complete their trap. But they didn't count on a man from Louisiana with enough common sense to blow the whole thing wide open. This community is the last line of defense against this digital betrayal. We want to hear from you right now. Do you trust the government with total control over your bank account? Or do you believe Kennedy is the only one who can still pull us out of this trap? Drop a comment below with the word trap if you want the truth to keep coming. We read every single comment, and your voice is the only thing they can't manage or silence. If you're ready to stand with Kennedy and protect our freedom, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know before it's suppressed. The trap has been exposed, but the fight for our future has just begun. Click the video on your screen right now to see Kennedy's other viral exposure that they tried to delete. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next exposure.